information you can get. This is Built on Blues. Built on Blues.
Welcome back to Built on Blues, everybody. I'm your host, Graeme Bryks. Usually when we talk about custom home design, we think slow, expensive, and chaotic processes. But my guest today spent over a decade executing massive, high-efficiency rollout for brands like Starbucks and McDonald's. He knows what process actually looks like. Now, he's applying that corporate efficiency to the chaotic world of residential construction with his firm, Visual PNW. They are on a mission to solve the housing crisis by fixing the broken industry of and design. I've got Carl Nelson in the studio. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Graeme.
Excited to have you on here. I want to take it all the way back to 1990. You were 14 years old, helping your dad and grandfather physically build your family home in the Pacific Northwest. Most 14-year-olds are playing video games. You were out framing walls. Did that hands-on experience, like feeling the weight of the lumber and seeing the plans come to life, give you a different respect for like the reality of construction compared to architects who only ever sit behind the screen?
Most definitely. At the time, foundationally, it was really just like a learning experience. It was an interest in like what it looks like to like put it. I remember looking at the blueprints. I remember like doing all the work and kind of seeing the whole process. So like that was kind of like the unique part of it, is like being a part of the whole process. Yeah, it just gave me a whole like, it kind of intrigued me in like going down this path. It was kind of like the triggering thing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about your time with Starbucks and McDonald's? You remember last time we talked, you were saying how like you really understood the efficiency and like how important like having systems in place were to like, building these buildings so fast. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So, I did spend 10 years in the residential kind of world before finding my way into like corporate commercial. So like kind of first half of my like career was like in that world. Well, I went off to go to the Middle East, part of the army for a year. I came back and I was in the National Guard, and I just looked for new opportunities, and kind of this commercial world, it's different than the residential world. So just the commercial way of doing things, like, there's a lot more standards of way of like and standardized process. And so like that's kind of like the commercial kind of production world. So like working for McDonald's and Starbucks over about a 10-year period, they build high quality things, they build volume, they build with scale and fairly efficient price. And so they have just a much better strategy customer, and kind of in the residential world, that's where we kind of get into problems of very uneducated kind of end consumer.
Okay. And I know as well you were getting a little bit frustrated about the process, how like you wanted a little bit more leeway about how you wanted to design things. Can you, just for an entrepreneurial standpoint, can you kind of go to that like fuck you moment that you had, that you're like, I can't do this anymore, like I want to start my own firm?
Yeah, for sure. So like the last 6 years was McDonald's or Starbucks. And so what Starbucks had a really unique thing that they did is that they wanted to go like do a minor renovation to every single store. And so it was really like that opportunity to work with a company at Starbucks that has a different approach, that's outside the architecture and construction industry, but like is doing that as a full-time job as in itself, like was like a huge learning kind of moment. And so like being a part of that, helping develop workflows, working alongside them as a customer, and really like managing like a whole process of how everything looks. Cohesively as one big thing. And so the moment, so like through that, so, everyone's like, in the architecture construction industry, there's definitely like it's changes, like changing to do something from something different is really wrong. And people get really comfortable in doing things the same. And that's kind of like, and so especially in the residential world, that's very rare. People are just comfortable doing it the same way they want it done. So that's kind of, in the company I was with, like there was a big portion of the leadership of the company that was just really comfortable doing everything. And here I am working with Starbucks, doing these like huge things, making a bunch of money for the company, and like, getting to like having a number one, have a guy I can hand this over to, was kind of still there today running the show, but like trying to figure out where I can help out. So like that was kind of like the moment. Like, there's a long period of like trying to like instill change, abrasive, like I'm kind of like, let's just fucking do this, right? Like, and so there was definitely like I helped create some tension in that. Like, there's definitely like part of that was just frustration. Come on, guys,
Yeah.
let's do something different. Like, so like kind of COVID, like the stress and tension that was happening kind of with me and my employers, like was kind of just like was frustrated about how the whole company handled just that.
Yeah.
And so like there was a lot of just personal frustrations and pain that went through like leading that company. Like there's friends and still friends
Hmm.
there. But like so it was kind of like it wasn't like one defined moment. It was just like a bunch of like, a long realization
Little things that started to
experience
add up
over
over
time. Like
time.
because like a part of like the COVID part was that we like looked around at different. I had like 8, 10 guys to just like no one's working. So I have them for a month. Let's just go do some market research. What other niches within the like architecture, engineering, construction worlds could use a little wisdom of Starbucks and McDonald's stuff? It's like, and so like my background in residential, my partner's background was background in residential. The fact that I still have friends that builds. I over the last 10 years in architecture in big commercial firms, I have like 6 houses in the neighborhood that I've done. So like there's a joy in like m- homes and like it's the most important place. And so like it kind of like just the research we were doing about like there's a need plus like my desire to like homes and everything. I'm just like I'm like that part of it. Like
Hmm.
affordability part of it. Not everyone can like have this joy of owning a home and like and maintaining a home. And so like that's like a problem. So like how can like we can combine all these things together? So it was kind of accumulation of a lot of things, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's awesome to hear. I think some people need to hear that where it's like, it's like it's okay to almost like let those things come up over time, like those like little things build up, and then like kind of like give you that like push to be like, like I need to go do my own thing.
Yeah, because you got to work through the shit. You got to like at least try pushing change, and maybe that doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it does, and so like you can give up and just run off to the next thing, or you can just like push back, and then at some point like you just don't push anymore. It's just like there's a point to like where you pushed hard enough and then it's going to change, so it's time to move out. So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree. You guys write a lot about feasibility being the most skipped step. Homeowners fall in love with, the Pinterest photo before they even know what they can build. Can you break down the science of your pre-market assessments? Like, why do you insist on doing a deep dive into zoning and city guidelines before you ever draw a pretty picture?
I mean, my headspace is a lot more from the customer perspective. So like, so when I talk about that to like homeowners, it's so high level. Like it's just like we have to do this. Like it's not hard to get into the weeds of like zone setbacks. You can try, but like a lot of times, just like you tell me, like as long as this meets the city's requirements or it doesn't. So a part of it is just like you know educating customers at like whatever level like they need to, and some customers do
Hmm.
understand like that, and some just don't. And so like that's part of like the whole like process, especially like is just like going through feasibility because feasibility means different things to different people. Feasibility to like to McDonald's is $15,000. It's pre-application? It's how much does it cost to me to develop this whole entire piece of property to the penny. That's it. So they'll spend $10,000 to $15,000 and throw that away several times a year. They have it in their budget to throw that away. And so in the residential world, the developer worlds of residential, they're unwilling to like the willingness to like put time and effort into that. There's no value seen in it. So like that's kind of the problem that exists. There's not a value seen in feasibility. So that's where we try to educate and stuff. So that's just a problem, generally industry problem is like it's not seen as like it's just like just make it meet code. Like it's a simple thing. Like
Yeah.
like the permitting is the biggest fucking pain in the ass of everything. Like it is.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so like telling I'm going through right now, telling someone what we do right now to 100% certainty that it's going to be all fine and dandy by the time we get into it. Like that's what they're asking me to give. Like and just so like I can say I can give you as much as I can, but once we get into the city, codes change. Everyone interprets shit differently. Like, we have a
Yeah.
project with a customer who just like got pissed off us and is not paying a big bill just because he's blaming us for everything the city created. So like, that's just part of just like, there's a big frustration.
Yeah.
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 I
No,
mean, I don't know, like feasibility, what is that for everyone interprets it differently. So like
Mhm.
right now, like just having a conversation. Do you need what do you need to know that makes you comfortable to make the next step? And so
Yeah.
feasibility is sometimes a process. So sometimes it's like, let's do a site analysis. What are the different makeups of it? Right now, I'm talking with someone who wants, he's like, "Oh, I'm trying to get 2 single-family homes, a daddy, and who else?" Is like, this is pretty tight. I'm not just going to, like, you want me to figure that out, which is the best? Let's start here, and then we'll do here and here and get you to like some, like,
Yeah. No, yeah, no, that's definitely a frustration part for sure. I could tell, I could hear it in your voice.
yeah, no, I mean,
But no, it's
feasibility in general is just individual comfort level of making the next step to move.
yeah.
And so
Well, it's just like
that's different for everyone. And so like, that's kind of where we have to start is what does that mean to you? And then let's answer the
yeah.
question.
Well, some people have this, like I said, like this fandy dandy Pinterest photo that they see and they're like, I want to build a house like that. But when it comes down to like the codes, like you mentioned, like
Yeah.
you won't always be able to build something like that. So let's, like get that, not like that picture out of your head, but let's be like, hey, like let's try to build something that can come close to it at least, but just letting that customer know along the way that like, hey, like there's going to be things that come up that we probably won't be able to do this because of where you're building.
But yeah, as we dive into that picture, then if we just kind of go with the picture, it was like the next
Yeah.
one we want is like, the feasibility, but it's like, how do you make that picture work? And so like, I think that's also a misunderstanding of like, what it takes to do that picture in Pinterest versus like that average looking thing a spec builder makes. Like those are two different things. And so the amount of effort involved,
Yeah.
stock solutions can look nice and can make it happy, but like there's a big difference between stock and kind of semi-custom and custom. And like none of us are really even like agreed upon in the building world is what defines each of those worlds. If I call a production builder and say custom, he's going to say anything different. If I talk to a high-end custom builder and say I want some custom, it's like specialized, detailed finished carpenters building cabinets by scratch. Like that's
Hmm.
custom. So like, yeah, like that's part of like, yeah, that picture is it's always that picture is a good starting point for us too. We always ask for that Pinterest picture, but it
Yeah.
seems like some people have a hard time like giving us a picture, custom stuff, custom.
Yeah. Well, it's also hard because like someone's investing so much money. They're like, they always see like, oh, like this looks better than what I originally thought. So maybe that one is like what I want. And then they'll keep scrolling and they'll see something that's even better. And they're like, oh, no, I actually want this. And then they just like, it's probably such a pain to deal with like the indecisiveness when it comes to actually like either the first part or unfortunately during the process where they're like, you already put something in place and then they change their mind and you're like, well, it's too late now. Like, how does that problem kind of arise? Like, how do you deal with something like that?
Totally. So like custom too. So we look at custom homes and single family homes, but a big part of our work is like big, huge custom renovations to older homes, adding. It's like there's a big chunk of our work that does that. Now we're kind of working within these extra confines of a house and try and get someone to realize what their house might be, like from what it is now. They already have these notions of like, this is the house they've lived in for 10 years and I hated it. It can never be the house I want. So I'm trying to get them past like that group specific projects we do a lot of.
Yeah. No, for sure. I read your guys' blog series on the broken industry. You guys are huge on educating the homeowners so they don't get ripped off, but educating every single client one-on-one can be exhausting. Going a little bit into AI, are you guys using AI to help kind of like scale that education? Maybe like you have something on your website where a bot would be able to answer basic questions when it comes to like, can I build an ADU or just like
Yeah,
questions instantly?
first, like as a new company, we're just like, it's been a while defining each steps in your process. What's the defined deliverability step? And what are we like? And like, so like we have a pretty defined process now that we've laid out of like, these are the things we do at each of the step level. And so like right now we're building out, it's just like an education stock email. Like, so like, we have our big thing, but like the continuing education is the part we're not good at right now. I'm doing a very good job of like everything up front. Here's the blog that has it all. But
Hmm.
what we haven't been doing that is everyone forgets that. So what we haven't been doing is continuing education for our customers throughout the project because they don't remember anything. And so like just like at each step of the way, like really just diving into like what this is, what we'll do it, just sending here's conceptual design. Like this is what we're trying to get out of it. This is what we want to do next. And so being very intentional about just like even just like here's your as-builts. This is what as-builts do, like, because that's the first step.
Hmm.
We'll measure the house, get an existing floor plan. We deliver existing floor plan because most don't have it, making a big renovation. That's where we're trying to be more intentional about, just like the continuum.
Yeah, of course. I'm going a little bit more into AI and even just like the housing
So
market.
AI is helping us like automate all of that kind of
Yeah.
communication. So that's kind of the AI connection to us. So sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off over, but yeah, that was kind of the
No, no,
original
you're all good.
question was AI. Go.
Yeah. And then one kind of trend that I'm hearing is that AI will actually help bring costs down when it comes to home building. Like if we are able to kind of like automate processes that can build home faster, do you see that being a trajectory in 2026 or 2027 when when like the housing market actually starts to kind of go down in price so that it does become a little bit more affordable for people?
It is, from my perspective, it will have an impact on the industry, but it's going to take a long time. Have meaningful change in the industry, that means you can change the way it functions and who does what. And so that's that from my perspective. And so right now, builders do a lot of things. So we need more like hands-on, like skilled guys. And so what the hands-on skilled guys are doing are they're going out shopping. They're spending an enormous amount of time just like logistics materials, getting them there, making sure they're on time. So like we take that part and provide like a logistical service that handles all of like just like, because our part of the process is actually picking the stuff out and going through that. And at some point, there's this handoff between like, and so like there's this handoff. There's a big mess and process right there in that handoff of like a list of materials that a homeowner needs that's kind of gone through either our service or interior designer, someone's picked up. So, and then how the build was. So design build firms have this all in house. That's design builds. It's not a good solution, like as it sits today. And so, yeah, so we have to change like for AI to do anything, like what's it doing? What's it fixing? Is it just trying to fix the way we do things right now? Sure, but we like the way I've been the best AI as I need to tell AI exactly what the end product needs to be. That's the way it's working for me best. And then
Yeah.
like feeding it a bunch of bullshit and it kind of brings that's how our proposals are.
Mhm.
Proposals are messy for a big project because we're getting all sorts of random information and thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
So that's what AI is called. I guess most is just like proposal generation today, but like I think for AI to like have meaningful industry wide change, there has to be something that's just like that's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
There's incremental changes we can do just internally at individual companies, but each
Yeah.
individual company is going to take that and have their own way to do it and have their own. So like that's part of the residential is like that's Starbucks. Everyone builds the way they say it.
Yeah.
Resident, which is we don't want that, but in the residential, there's so many different ways of builder, design team, and an engineering team acts and functions and interacts, does design builds, contract types. Too much difference. So homeowners don't understand different. Like
Yeah.
so what AI is just going to make AI is doing a really good job of just bringing about different ideas. Like what are it seems like
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's a great
You know,
question.
it's
Great
it's
question. Like,
crazy.
sit around a fire pit on some beers and gobble on that for hours.
Yeah, exactly, man. I know me and my buddies at the office here when we're staying late at night, we can just shoot the shit about like, holy crap, like the amount of things that AI is doing, like and like all the crazy things that it's doing as well. It's just like it's almost like anything is possible, which is sometimes good, but also sometimes bad. But I don't want to get into all that right now. I want to go into asking my favorite question that I love to ask people that I bring on the show here is you've seen the industry from the mud of the job site to the boardroom of Starbucks. If you had a magic wand and could erase one bottleneck in your business right now, what would that be?
I mean, the bottleneck was permits. I mean, that's the bottleneck in the whole overall process. Like,
Hmm.
but that's the problem. That's the thing that it seems like the more harder thing to solve. So like so the amount of time I spend on that is probably limited. I mean, the biggest bottleneck that we have that slows things down is just handoffs between design. It's just like there's that kind of three-way kind of relationship that's like sticky, especially for we're new. We're new, so we don't have like going and work for
Yeah.
vision this system that connects like design and selection and like having touch and feel process of design and with the kind of logistics of getting it to site when it needs to be at site. So like we're doing that for 2 or 3 projects right now. So like the handoffs between like the team.
Yeah.
So always bottlenecks. So every time they hand out a tweet, you said, here, I'll sell them. You know, between me and a cabinet supplier. I had a cabinet supplier on a project earlier this summer, and just didn't forward the email 2 weeks. 2 weeks, fuck the whole project. So that's just the simple handoffs. Like I'm talking to the cabinet showroom, they go on vacation, don't send an email to the cabinet shop.
No, for sure. It does sound like permits is just a problem. But yeah, no, maybe hopefully AI can figure out something for that one
Yeah,
day.
no, I mean AI is definitely one of the help solutions of how like that's how we use it. How do we like hand off stuff between a certain perspective and way that works for his company, which is a little different. So it's good kind of working with different because this is
Yeah,
always going to be a bunch of small businesses. Like, so out of all those small businesses, like work a little better together. Like we're all just kind of like, yeah, it's just like this weird collection of just random gigs and jobs.
yeah, for sure. And then the last one here for respecting your time for the homeowner listening who is terrified to start a renovation because they've heard all the horror stories about subcontractors and everything. What is one question they need to ask their architecture or builder in the very first meeting to know if they're dealing with a pro or a nightmare?
I'm writing like something about this right now, and it talks about like, I mean, that's the question that I think we keep telling them to ask, and I think we should be telling them, go learn something about what we do before you talk to me. That's what we like in a nice way, but that's really like,
Hmm.
don't come to me just trying to educate, because like that's like so like that's what I want. That's what I need homeowners to know. Like, go read a book or something. It needs to be a short book. Like I'm noodling around with just like this short little book that kind of talks through everything more generally. The first part of that is identifying the different types of general contractors. And so like I have a section where I talk about like there's the old timers, there's the self-perform everything, some trade out.
Hmm.
There's the ones that are just a single guy that just has a big collection of subs. There's the medium-sized builders. There's the guys of offices. There's the guys that does. There's the guy and this guy in his truck building like in their 60s. They've been building houses from project to project. They're slow. They're pain in the ass because they keep sea salt or that they're the greatest dudes. I love them. They've done all the projects in my house. They're a pain in the
Yeah,
ass. Like they're cheaper than everyone else, but they take forever. But they're
yeah,
good dudes and I trust them. But like I don't recommend them because like you kind of have to know construction.
yeah,
You will to go get your so like everyone's level of services you so get one. It's so hard to compare building to building. So I think homeowners is an educate on the different type of builders and designers that are actually out there and how they function. There's too many different kinds. There's the hustle.
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, no, that's it sounds like it.
Because honestly, like they all come to me with all the questions, right? They all the questions,
Yeah,
and so like honestly, it's like it's kind of like this is a big thing you're doing. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. You should really go like read some stuff before you start talking. Like 'cause
yeah,
that's how you're gonna get fucked. If you don't do that, that's how people get screwed. It's like just like the guy talks a good talk. He's good at but like his processes are all like shitty. And so every project he runs his way. But he talks a good talk. So like you never know. So like, yeah.
yeah. No, it sounds like you know what you're talking about, and I think it's some really good insight for the people listening, especially when it comes to the builders or even just like the home builder themselves, so making sure that they know who they're working with. Carl, I love the way you're bringing Starbucks efficiency to the American home. For anyone in Seattle who wants to build smarter, where is the best place to find Visual PNW?
Visualpnw.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Carl Nelson. You can reach out to me through LinkedIn. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll link those up in the show notes. And I just want to say thank you so much, Carl, for taking the time out of your day and coming on the show with us.
Thank you so much, Graham.
That was a pleasure. And to everyone listening, you know the drill. Keep building, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Bye now.